He changes with me.
I thought we all would, but this is Mrs. Hawkins interviewing Bennett Cerf on February 8th to get on here. I know you're great friends with Frank Sinatra, and I don't know whether lots of people have the same feelings I do, but he certainly hasn't gotten very good publicity. And I love the story you were telling me about the people that you're going to go off on this vacation, you're going to go down, what he'd done on the airplane. Maybe there's something else you'd like to add about him.
Oh, I think.
Or what kind of person he is, because I don't think that this can be for...
I think Frank Sinatra is really Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He has his wonderful side, and he has a dark side, which I don't want to know anything about. I know the good side of Frank Sinatra. He is one of the nicest men. He's one of the kindest, most generous men I have ever met. First of all, his charm is all-pervading. Not only women, but men. Frank wants you to like him. By golly, you're going to like him, because I can't exaggerate his kindness. He will read a newspaper and read about some family has been evicted in Wichita, Kansas. He sees that a check for $1,000 was sent to this family without any of them ever knowing where it came from. He has his office do it in such a way. Every time he reads the paper, there's something that catches that fellow's eye. And
this is something that people don't know about,
though. They don't know the least thing in the world, because if this I'm telling you, this will never go into the public, because he'd kill me if he knew I was telling you this. This is a side of him that he keeps to himself. And obviously he'd be pestered to death if it was ever known, but that's not the reason.
He's a kind person.
He doesn't want people to know this. He has helped more old actors and run-down nightclub stars. You just don't know how many of them he's supporting. I'll give you an example. Joey Lewis, who is now very sick. Frank's paying all his bills. He's living it up down in Florida. There's another fellow whose name I won't tell you, who was very famous in his day. Frank is supporting him, lock, stock, and barrel. If this fellow would ever tell the public this, Frank could cut him right off, and they know it. Frank says, if you ever tell anybody I'm doing this, we're through. And when he says it, he means it, and they damn well know it. So there were two people I know that were living it up fine, and Frank's paying all the bills. All of them. Now that's just money, you could say. Well, it comes in so fast, he doesn't know, can't keep track of it. But also, I want to point out to you that most of this money is right on the top, and goes right to the government. All the money he makes for his concerts and his tours and nightclub stuff, that goes, how much of that does he keep? And his expenses are enormous. He's the most extravagant man I ever met. To Frank Sinatra, money is to be enjoyed. And I think that's the great philosophy. That was Morse Hart's philosophy too. The people I've loved have felt that way. Money is not to be hoarded and guarded the way the old-fashioned idea was, that you didn't dip into capital. Money is to be spent and enjoyed. And by God, Frank has got that down to a science. And he has to have people watching him, because he spends money so freely that even with his huge income, he could get into trouble. You admire something Frank has, you have to be careful. The next day you get it from him. He had a gold pen he was signing something with, and I said, gee, that's a cute pen. Next day, one came with my initials on it. I didn't want it at all. I was
when you're embarrassed, that's it.
Terribly embarrassed. He can't take, Frank. He simply cannot take gifts. He's terrible when you give him presents. He gets embarrassed and shy, and usually makes some remark that annoys you because he's embarrassed. He doesn't want things. He wants to give. He loves to give. He's never happy when he's giving presents away. And of course his friends all kid him about it, because he is really, it's like an old gangster chief, handing out presents. And the first time I really got intimate with Frank, he was on a yachting trip, and they gave everybody these zoom lens telescope, thing that you can push a button. And Freddie Brisson and Rosalind Russell came to our house from this boat trip, and Freddie Brisson, Rosalind's husband, had one of these things, and I was playing with it all day. You can make things come near and far by pushing the button. And the next night they were going down to have dinner with Frank Sinatra in New York, and I had to come down to do What's My Line. It was a Sunday night regular job, and Freddie said, we're meeting Frank after the show, come and join us. So I was delighted. I knew Frank. We'd known each other for years. I told you how we met, didn't I? I will in a minute. but I didn't know him intimately. And I went down and joined them later, and he was in one of his most enchanting moods that night. And Freddie said, Bennett spent the whole afternoon with this dame. He said, I was lucky to get it back. And I said it was wonderful. The next morning on my desk was one of these presents from Frank Sinatra. It cost about $300. It was absolutely, well, I was terribly embarrassed. After all, if I'd wanted one, I could have afforded to go out and get it, but it was a toy. I've still got it. I'm always hoping that someday I'll be able to put it on the girl undressing across the street. But since all we have opposite us is the Girl Scouts of America, the prospects are very cloudy. But, I mean, there it sits in the drawer. It's a toy, an expensive toy. But as a result of that evening, I don't know, we made a date alone somehow. And it was a mutual love affair. It was a mutual love affair. Phyllis, my wife, she's Frank's slave. And today, of course, we call Phyllis the General, and Frank immediately adopted that. I'm BC to him, and also I enchant him because I love to sing. In my dreams, I am Frank Sinatra, and I'm also Fred Astaire.
Did you see him last night?
Oh,
wasn't he good?
I had tears of pleasure in my eyes. And Phyllis, I said, isn't this wonderful? And Phyllis said, you're doing that, aren't you? She said, you'd like to be Fred Astaire. And I said, yes, but I'd also like to be Frank Sinatra. My dream is being able to do the dance as well as Astaire does and the singing. Now, in dreams, I've always had that ridiculous fantasy. I was a great singer.
No, there's one thing.
But anyway, just talking about this with Frank, when I would start singing, and Frank is like my two boys. When I sing, they roll on the ground. And Frank has given me this great compliment. He said, I'm the only man he knows who can sing an entire song without getting one note right. So last year, we together made a record of Winchester Cathedral for the Christmas party. We had, Frank had his voice erased from the record. And with the band as background, Count Basie, I think it was, or Duke Ellington's band, I sang Winchester Cathedral with this great music in the background. Well, the result is so awful. But of course, we played it at Christmas time. Frank said, I want to play my new record. And people, and then when I came Winchester at the beginning with this great thing, suddenly my voice, well, a roar of rage went up for her.